We are joined today with Mouhamed Diallo, and Mouhamed is an amazing person, and we're so thankful, Mouhamed, that you were willing to share your story as part of our Make Your Global Impact series. Mouhamed, we'd like to start by just asking you to share some of your story, highlights, key moments in your life that have shaped you. If you would please share some of that very rich story that I know you have.
Yes, Scott, thank you so much. I really do appreciate this opportunity. I consider myself to be a global citizen, and I will divide my life experiences in 4 chapters. The first chapter was way back when I was growing up with my parents, my father moving around different countries in the west coast of Africa. The second part of that was my parents sending me to Canada to complete my studies. And then the third part of that is me returning back into our home country in Guinea, in the west coast of Africa, to take over our family business and support the family after my father's passing. And then the fourth one was me, after getting married, deciding to migrate back to the US for peace and freedom, to make sure that my family now has what my father has always wanted for his family, to also have a bigger impact. If you go with the first event, basically me growing up in different countries in the west coast of Africa, my father had actually to flee our country of origin because of the political climate not favoring democracy. He almost lost his life because of voicing his opposition against the government. He was persecuted because of the ethnic group he belonged to. He first took us to Sierra Leone, then we moved to the Gambia, and then we ended up in Senegal, where we stayed for about 5 years. And then that was also becoming too close to Guinea. Then he moved us to Togo, where we stayed for 7 years. My parents, both of them have passed, may they rest in peace, were hard workers. They were loving, courageous, resilient, and they, among everything else, put faith ahead of everything they did. They lived a life of service to others, putting others' needs first. I remember in Lomé, Togo. Lomé is the capital city of Togo. While I was in middle school, my dad refusing me things that I wanted. Like, I remember vividly, I wanted to go to the movies. Came to my dad and said, "Hey, Dad, can you give me some money to go to the movies?" And he said no. I wanted a new basketball. I used to play basketball, and I came to him and I said, "Hey, Dad, can you buy me a new basketball?" And he said no. And then every single time I would ask him why, he will say, "Well, you have to dissociate want and need. You don't need those things. You want them. I want to reserve everything we have, all resources we have, to needs for you guys, for the family. I want to make sure that I provide. And anything that we have extra, I want to make sure that we support other people's needs instead of, your wants." Of course, then when you say that to a child, you go, "What? No, I want to go to the movies. I want that basketball." But looking back, it's such powerful lessons just to live by, I witnessed my father's struggles for finding peace and freedom for his family, uprooting us from country to country because he prioritized his family well-being and good education for his children. My mother, may she rest in peace, she passed in 1992, was loving and personable. She embodied charitable giving. She will give shelter, clothes, her own clothes, food to the homeless. I remember once she brought at our house a woman who was considered to be a crazy homeless person. She helped this woman. She kind of provided her with shelter. She helped her get a shower. She washed and made her hair. She gave her some of her own clothes and offered her a place to live. She was just selfless and thought about others before herself. That's kind of the first portion. That's how I grew up. And then, my parents decided, because education is, my father knew that knowledge is power, and the way to gain knowledge is through education. So he sent me to Canada to study because he really believed in good education for his children. I was the first in my family to complete a college degree, and I was so proud. It made my parents so proud. I had experiences I would not have gained anywhere else. We in Canada started an association for foreign students. We call it AEE. In French, it's Association pour les étudiants étrangers. So basically, foreign student association. And this was all around supporting our fellow students who were coming from other countries, basically serving them and providing them with everything that we had been able to learn living in Canada, so that they actually also can thrive within the Canadian society. When my father passed in 1996, I decided to go back, to take over the family business and also support my younger siblings, so that they will not miss our father. Because I was certain that the same way he provided for me and my direct younger siblings in terms of gaining access to good education, I wanted to make sure that our younger siblings that wouldn't have known our father otherwise did not miss that. In Guinea, I was the head of our family business. My father used to own an import-export business, and he was a very, very good businessman, and he was very successful. And also he had a foam factory, that I also, kept managing for the sake of the family. While I was doing that, I was also fortunate and honored to represent Senegal in a part of Guinea as the honorary consul, advocating on behalf of Senegalese, in Guinea. When I got married in 1998. When I got married with my wife, prior to having our children, we decided to move back to the US, and build our family here. And, at the beginning, when we moved here in the 2000, I struggled a lot. As you all know, most of the time when you come here as the first immigrant, of course, you have to find your bearings and find your way through the American society. I remember juggling 2 jobs to make ends meet. I had a job that will take me anywhere from 7 in the morning all the way to 9 p.m. And at the same time, I was actually delivering newspapers to residences, and I started that extremely early. I will do that around 2:30 in the morning while everybody else was sleeping. My day started around 2:30 and will end somewhere around 9, 10 in the evening, just because I wanted to make sure that I do provide to my family. I was fortunate to be given an opportunity and honored. I met with folks that actually leadership teams that work with a biotech company. It was MedImmune that was bought out by AstraZeneca, and it was a biopharmaceutical company based out of the Maryland area, Gaithersburg. When I met with them, I kind of started lobbying them and advocating on my behalf for them to give me an opportunity. And then when I started with them, I started at the very bottom, and then I kind of made waves, with all the learnings from my father growing up and all that. One thing leading to the other, I became a manager. They moved me to Atlanta, and then, down the road, I actually have been in biopharmaceutical for more than 18 years now. And I've worked in so many different therapeutic areas: infectious disease, oncology, respiratory, vaccines, and now women's health. Now I serve a company based out of San Francisco, California. It's a biopharmaceutical company, non-profit pharmaceutical company, one of a kind, with a mission to serve women, basically to remove cost as a barrier for women's health product. And I've been with that company for 4 years. I also, have been serving, Scott, as you know, on your board for more than 10 years. I have the honor and opportunity to consult, for great nonprofit organizations in the US and support their mission. In 2015, I went to Guinea twice to support International Medical Corps and also global communities in their fight against Ebola. As you all recall, 2015, Ebola started spreading from Guinea, and it went from Guinea to Sierra Leone and Liberia. And I was part of that global effort that went in, to support eradicating Ebola. These are kind of the major events in my life, that kind of shaped me to form my story, Scott.
It's an amazing story. Mouhamed, did you leave the family business behind in Guinea?
Not sell it. So what I did when I decided to move, I had it leased. Basically, we still had family there, and that was the way the family was able to sustain itself. So I had one of our competitor who was in Conakry lease the factory, and then through the proceeds that we were receiving from him, the family that was there was able to sustain itself.
It's amazing. And tell us the impact that it had on you, that your parents, even though they were fleeing political persecution, and also having to go to different countries and never quite, it sounds like, escaping that persecution. What impact did it have on you that they always still put other people in need above themselves?
Yeah, thank you, Scott. My parents were just amazing people. They exposed me to selflessness at a very young age. They taught me that giving the less fortunate than me should be the only way I should live my life. They taught me that education is key to success, knowledge is power, and that smart and hard work really does pay off. They imparted a strong and unshakable faith in me. They exposed me at the same time to different cultures to help understand that even though people may be different from their background, ultimately we are all seeking the same. We're all seeking peace, we're all seeking freedom, and we're all seeking the ability to support ourselves and our families.
And tell us a little bit about that story and being a global citizen and serving others. How has that really brought to bear in your work with Medicines360, which is an extraordinary organization, a nonprofit pharmaceutical company helping women's health? Tell us a little bit about how you bring that story to Medicines360 and to women's health.
Yes, thank you, Scott. I believe in servant leadership. I believe in giving back as much as I humanly can to my fellow less fortunate human beings. With Medicines360, what we do is just unbelievable. We are a very small company, but with a huge impact to women's life, women's reproductive lives. I lead a team of senior managers and associate directors across the U.S., and we support nonprofit. We support the public sector, the U.S. public sector, in terms of accessing medicines that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to offer to the patient that they do care for. I see myself being very happy and very fulfilled when I know that I have helped others. So all that unselfishness that my father, my mom, I have seen them go through has really, really helped me, not only define my life, but have a life purpose. So it's basically living a life of service and purpose. Giving back, my time, my resources, expertise. I have so many people that actually have helped me throughout the way, mentoring me. And now that I'm in a position where I can also offer mentorship, I kind of try to, as much as possible, bring people in the fold, first generation Americans or immigrants, kind of just to provide them with some mentorship that will help them thrive within the U.S. society. And my heart is really toward Africa. I love what I do here in the U.S., and I love it more when it has an impact in what we are impacting lives in Africa.
Mouhamed, when I think about your story and your impact, I'm in awe that you're able to work with free clinics and help provide women in very difficult communities across the United States. And at the same time, you make sure that you stay connected to Africa, to West Africa, and to the health needs of West Africa, but also that you support the diaspora, the African diaspora, and particularly young people who are trying to use education as their great equalizer. In many ways, is that how you fulfill your own global citizenship?
Yes. You nailed it in the head. Like the third portion of what you talked about, it's all about uplifting Africans and uplifting Africans here in the U.S. Through education, through exposing them to what the U.S. has to offer. What I have learned through speaking with folks like you and so many of my mentors, what I have learned and understood over the last 20 years, I want to make sure that I take all that knowledge and impart it to the youngs that are coming up. I'm fortunate. We started something last year during COVID, Uplift Africans, where it's all focused on education, supporting education for first generation African Americans and also immigrants Africans and that are in high school, middle school and high school, supporting them and working with them, accompanying them through their studies, all the way to supporting them getting an internship and getting the position, a job in their field of study. I was very fortunate. As soon as I started that endeavor, I actually met with Engineering Tomorrow, the leadership at Engineering Tomorrow. And Engineering Tomorrow is a nonprofit focused on raising access to engineer for the hard to reach population. So basically for minorities. And their focus, they do phenomenal things. They have hybrid labs where they expose people to the field of engineering, different fields of engineering, for them to understand what it is, and so that they can kind of narrow down their choices when they go to college. So I was able to bring a cohort into that fold, and they were really nice to do something with us of ours. So basically, they usually work with schools, and they usually do it with the STEM teacher. But since we were not a school, we were able to recruit kids, high school students from Maryland, Virginia, DC, New York, Ohio, and Georgia. And that was the first cohort. As a matter of fact, this week, so interesting, Scott, that you brought it up. This week, we will be completing our 10th lab. They offer 10 hybrid labs. And this week we will be completing our 10th lab, actually today on Thursday from 4:15 to 5 p.m. Really just exciting things that they do. And it just fulfills me when I see the light in these kids in terms of them now understanding, hey, I actually want to go to biomedical engineering. I actually want to do, I want to do this kind of engineering. I want to do computer science because I've looked at all the things that engineering offers, and I see myself stronger here. Basically, exactly what Engineering Tomorrow is trying to do. Now with Medicines360, what we do is just short of amazing. We work very closely with these clinics, that a lot of companies do not focus on, and we focus on them because the majority of U.S. population actually seek care with these clinics, right? So they call them the safety net clinics, and we focus on providing them with all the necessary education that they need so that they can access the products that our company kind of bring in to remove cost and also to make sure that it's accessible for the patient that they do care for.
That's fantastic. Mouhamed, at many different points in your life, growing up, your early years in the United States, you could have become very disgruntled, angry even, and yet you've kept a positive, really a positive approach and a faith in humanity. When you think about the young people that you come in contact with, whether it's African diaspora or in general, what advice do you have for them about how they can have that same sense of service, generosity, and make their own global impact?
Good question, Scott. Thank you. The one thing growing up that was imparted in me was to always look at the glass half full. If you look at things that happen in the world, it's very easy to focus on negativity. Understanding that we have our blessings, and in each situations there will be some underlinings, silver underlinings. So with my father and my mom, even though my father was persecuted, and he moved us to different countries. He always maintained his smile, and he always knew that his life purpose was to help others, and understanding that he was blessed and that he wanted to extend that blessing to others. So the way I see it, it's always two sides of the coins. So you have the positivity and the negativity, and I always decide to focus on the positivity. I'm fortunate that I was accepted as a citizen in the US, and I consider myself a global citizen, also having the US citizenship. I really believe in America, and I believe that Americans are compassionate and generous at their core. America is the land of the free and the brave, and Americans really, truly are compassionate and generous at their core. And most of the time there may be some situations that will come, political or social, or anything that will come and that will blind some of the folks. But ultimately, when they look inside, they realize that, hey, you know what? I actually can have an impact. I actually can support my neighbors. I actually can support causes that I believe in. They always come together to support one another and support these causes that they care for and believe in. Making a global impact, and a global impact will be done here and abroad. Anyone could make a donation to international nonprofit for causes they believe in. You could donate of your time, of your expertise here in the US, and or volunteer outside of the US. It could be via health focused mission trips. I know I have a lot of friends that are doctors, or some that are in healthcare field that are nurses. And most of the time the churches that they belong to actually do mission trips, either directly, individually, or collaboration, partnership with some international NGOs going into the Southern Hemisphere, and these folks get fulfilled by just giving their time. And then when they take out vacation, they just give their time and go in and then support others. It could also be funding for education. There are a lot of organizations that are focused on education. It could be funding for safe and clean water. Here in the US, when you turn on that faucet, you see water pouring. That opportunities are extended to everybody else in the world, right? So there are a lot of organizations that are focused on safe and clean water, and providing these nonprofit organization funds to be able to do that, help some others live the lives that we are living here in the US that some of us take for granted. It could be for alleviating poverty. It could be for health and access to vaccines, life-saving vaccines. Right now, we are in a COVID-19 pandemic. There are so many people in the US that are fortunate that have already received their second dose. I'm one of those people, and I'm so excited and grateful. A lot of people in the world outside of the US cannot say the same thing. Why? Because they don't have access to these life-saving vaccines. So anyone here in the US can go in and do some sourcing and find out these companies, and $1, $2, $10. Remember, need and want. So if you realize that, hey, I want this, but actually I do not need it, that money can serve, or those funds can serve to help somebody else's need. Global impact will be a very good start in terms of identifying basically the company that you had, Scott, could be a very good start in terms of identifying these nonprofits that one wants to support, fulfill their mission of helping others that are less fortunate than we are here in the US. I really believe in America, and I believe in the American dream, and I believe in Americans being compassionate and generous at their core.
Well, Mouhamed Diallo, a global citizen, a American dream hero, a man of faith, and most importantly, your glass overflows. And so we all benefit from that and get a chance to make our own global impact because we can follow you. Thank you for the impact you make around the world, everybody that you meet, the women that you help. We really appreciate you.
Scott, thank you so much. And thank you also for everything you do. And thank you for leading global impact into this 21st century, helping others. I really, really do appreciate you and the organization. And I'm very appreciative and grateful for this opportunity.
Well, I'm honored to have you as a board member and as my boss. So we can't thank you enough for the direction that you give to global impact.